10 people wake up on a strange island with no memories. When strong personalities clash, they must decide whether to survive on the island or try to find their way back home. A black-haired woman wakes up on a beach with a conch shell in her hand. She finds herself on an island, so she blows on the conch shell to call for help. Unknown to her, more people are unconscious on the beach. Soon, she meets a red-haired woman. Neither women know the other nor their own names. When the dark-haired woman shares that she woke up with a conch shell next to her, the other reveals the knife she found. The first woman thinks they can work together with what they have, but the red-headed woman unsheathes her knife, asserting that she can't trust the other. The other woman skillfully takes the knife. Before things escalate, a man approaches them, saying the others have woken up. As they share a coconut to quench their thirst, they notice that they're all dressed similarly. The black-haired woman believes that they didn't end up there because of an accident since there are no injuries. As the black-haired woman theorizes what happened, the red-haired woman interrupts and checks the tags on their clothes, where they find names. Cooper, the man from earlier, doesn't remember his name, but Casey, the red-haired woman, suggests they should go with it. As the group gathers resources, the black-haired woman, Chase, suggests looking around to figure out where they are. Casey argues that learning their names is enough for that day, but Chase insists. In the end, no one wants to go, which irritates Chase. Sensing the tension, Brody and Donovan agree to join the adamant woman while the others stay to make food. Later, Chase finds things buried in the sand in the spots where they woke up. When Brody removes his shirt to collect the items, Donovan thinks he's showing off to Chase, so he leaves. The others wonder why they can't remember anything, and Moses jokes that aliens might have put them there for organ harvesting, while Blair considers trauma-based amnesia. Cooper suggests word association to jog their memories, but this only makes them hungry. Meanwhile, Hayden helps Mason build a fire. When he asks what she thinks of the others, Hayden believes they're just flirting. Mason thinks she's humorous, and Hayden notes that he doesn't say much but assures him it's okay. On the other hand, Chase and Brody go to the forest while Cooper and Mason write help on the sand. While Taylor is sunbathing, Blair reminds her of the risk of too much sunlight. The former becomes annoyed because Blair is obstructing her light. When they notice what the men are doing, Taylor hints it's worthless as no plane has passed by. Annoyed that the woman doesn't want to help, Blair leaves. Finally alone, Taylor finds a book in the sand but throws it away. When Donovan arrives, Casey asks him where Chase and Brody are, but he says they're probably flirting somewhere. He then invites the others to swim. As Donovan and Taylor run to the water, Cooper and Blair follow them. Elsewhere, Chase and Brody discover a waterfall. The woman is delighted that they found fresh water, while Brody suggests living there without telling the others. Chase laughs at this, and the two flirt until they end up kissing. When she pushes him away, Brody suddenly grabs and tackles her down, forcing himself onto her. Chase eventually knocks him over and aims Casey's knife at him, but the man says he's just messing around. Not trusting him, she runs away. At the beach, while swimming, Cooper sees a shark heading toward Donovan and Blair. Scared, Donovan pushes the woman and swims away. Moses sees Blair in danger, so he swims out to save her while Donovan gets bitten and taken by the shark. After finally returning to land, everyone realizes that the ocean isn't safe. Brody soon arrives and shows them what they found in the sand, but the rest tell him that Donovan died. Casey changes the subject to what Chase found, becoming suspicious of how the latter knows where the resources are. Brody defends Chase, but when Taylor asks where the woman is, he awkwardly says he doesn't know. He proposes starting the fire somewhere less windy and using the smoke as a signal. Hayden scoffs when Brody acts like a leader, but the group realizes that he's right since they need shelter. While Brody is assigning tasks, Chase ambushes him, sharing what he did to her by the waterfall. Laughing, the man claims Chase came onto him. He even points out how she picked up fruits instead of returning to the others after he supposedly attacked her, implying that she's lying. Outraged, Chase walks off and contemplates in the distance. Hayden and Blair check on her, but she insists on being alone. Meanwhile, Casey believes Brody since she already dislikes Chase. The next day, Chase dreams about shooting a woman who's begging for her life. When she wakes up, she shrugs off the dream. Instead, she grabs the axe they found and walks along the shore to clear her mind while the rest are asleep. She runs to the beach when she finds Donovan still alive, so she calls for the others using the conch shell. When they arrive, Blair looks for the first aid kit they found, but it only has bandages. Taylor wonders why Blair is helping the man who pushed her toward the shark. Still, she straps a belt around Donovan's leg to control the bleeding and commands everyone to lift him carefully. Later, Brody approaches Chase to apologize, though she doesn't accept this. The man points out that they must work work out their differences, or the group will fall apart. Chase points out that he's telling her to accept how he forced himself on her because things will get worse for her, which sounds like a threat. Brody backs down and just invites her to the group's meeting, noting that he'd need her vote as he has some ideas. Still, Chase doesn't feel he's sincere, so she refuses. Annoyed, Brody says he doesn't need her vote. He emphasizes that he's innocent since nothing happened between them before leaving. After he leaves, Chase notices Hayden and Mason counting steps as they walk along the shore, so she follows them. Soon after, she joins their meeting. Brody suggests leaving the beach and moving inland where there's food and fresh water. Blair worries about moving Donovan, which will take a lot of work. Cooper thinks they won't be found if they hide, but Brody believes no one will rescue them. Chase argues they should have hope that they'll be rescued, but Brody thinks they're already vulnerable to the weather, animals, and disease, so they need to be prepared. Cooper still thinks it's better to survive on the beach, while Chase suggests leaving the island, though Casey reminds her they don't have a boat. Brody implies that Chase knows something since she insists on leaving, so she asks Mason and Hayden to tell the group what they found. Hayden reveals that they noticed exactly 39 steps between where they woke up the day before. Chase adds that she found the survival objects in the same places, so they must figure out what it means. Casey and Cooper think these don't mean anything, but Mason shares something else he found. He takes the rest to a sign by the beach that says, "Find your way back." Chase thinks it's a clue, but the others are skeptical since the people who made the sign could be dead. Chase insists it's telling them to go back somewhere, but the others won't listen, so they return to camp. Mason still believes it means something as the numbers can't be coincidental, but Hayden is now convinced that it's just a sign, so they leave. Frustrated, Chase breaks her conch shell, not noticing the label inside saying it's the property of the island, along with a beeping device. The following day, Chase wakes up near the sign and sees a floating tent in the water. Determined to get to it, she takes her shoes off but steps on a broken shell. Despite the pain, she swims to the tent, but the blood from her wounded foot attracts the sharks. Scared, Chase hurries as the animals lurk in the water. After climbing into the tent, she rushes to release it from the anchor. However, the shark hits the tent, making her stumble. With the sharks close by, she searches for tools to help her escape. In the tent, she finds a bag containing cash and 3 bullets. There are also 2 cases and a paddle to help her move the tent on shore. Upon returning to the shore, Chase covers the tent with palm leaves, deciding not to share her discovery yet. She then visits the camp, where she finds Brody alone. The man wonders if she has decided to join them, still thinking that she's acting out for attention. Pissed, Chase says she doesn't care about figuring out why they're there since none of them do. The conversation is cut off when Casey shows up, looking for breakfast. Chase notices the two are flirting, so she doubts that the woman is hungry. Not wanting to argue, Chase drops the topic. As Casey and Brody leave to find food, Chase cautions the woman not to fall for the waterfall trap as she did. Afterward, Chase checks the cases she found. In the first one, she finds medication, but the second one has another case inside that's locked. Not having the key, she puts both away. Chase runs into Moses on her way back, and the man is concerned about where she slept since she wasn't at camp last night. She admits that she slept close to the signpost on the beach. In the forest, Brody mentions a waterfall where they can cool off, but Casey declines because she feels that she doesn't like water. This fascinates Brody since none of them remember anything. Meanwhile, Chase is arranging the items in the bag she found in the tent when she spots Cooper. She asks where he's going in a hurry, so Cooper explains that he and Mason will create hunting traps to get more food. She points out that Cooper is quiet, so he defends that he only speaks when he needs to. In contrast, he thinks that Brody is more concerned with power, not their survival. The woman realizes she isn't the only one who noticed, recalling how he restrained himself from punching Brody. Cooper then notices her bag, so she makes him promise not to tell anyone before sharing what she found. Chase shows him the 39-cent stamps, proving that the 39 steps between where they woke up isn't a coincidence. However, Mason calls Cooper to start making hunting traps, so he advises Chase to keep her discovery to herself for now before leaving. Elsewhere, Casey and Brody find a fruiting tree, but the man complains that they need Chase's knife to harvest it. Casey reveals she owns the blade, so Brody offers to discuss this at their next meeting. Curious, Casey asks him what truly happened between him and Chase. The man claims that he and Chase only talked about jungle life and kissed. Jealous, Casey kisses him. When they return to camp, Chase notices something amiss with Casey. She dismisses it and approaches Blair, who spots the approaching storm. Given this, Brody suggests relocating, but Cooper argues that they have already declined that idea. When Brody insists, Cooper suggests that he move alone. Angry, the former curses at Cooper, causing a brawl. Mason and Moses restrain them, but Brody hits Cooper and knocks him down. He then grabs Chase's Chase's knife, and to avoid danger, Cooper leaves. The rest are on edge to see Brody with the knife, who tries to dismiss it as him merely teasing them. When Chase asks for the knife, he questions why she should hold it. Instead, he demands to have everything in one place. But when Chase asserts that it should include Brody's compass and matches, he changes the topic. With that, he invites everyone to the grove, drops the knife, and leaves. When he's gone, Casey takes the blade and hands it to Chase, implying a ceasefire. The storm begins, so Chase brings everyone to the tent for shelter, making them wonder where she found it. While asleep, Chase dreams of the woman again whom she shoots. She wakes up as a drenched Cooper arrives outside the tent, so she lets him in. In the morning, the storm has passed, and Chase is the first to wake up. She revisits the sign and finally notices the device from inside her broken conch shell, which happens to be a remote key. Taking it, she dashes back to camp but stops when she sees Brody, who prepared food for everyone. To distract him, Chase reveals that the rest are sleeping in the shelter she found. When Brody asks why she was sprinting, the woman explains that she was curious about the smoke from the fire he made. She then notices his spear, which he claims is for protection. Brody asks that they wake up the others, but Chase convinces him to go alone, giving him the tent's location. After Brody has left, Chase uses the remote key to access the lockbox she hid. 3 and 9 don't work, so she tries different codes. When she loses patience, she tries pressing one button 3 times and the next one 9 times. This finally opens the box. Inside, she discovers a revolver where the bullets from the bag fit. Bothered by this, she returns the weapon to the box and hides it. After the group is gathered, Hayden observes that Casey is avoiding Brody. Later at the beach, Casey tends to a wound on her stomach but hides it when Hayden approaches. She confronts the other woman about her recent behavior, thinking that Brody did something to her when they looked for food yesterday. Instead, Casey blames herself for what happened. Despite Hayden assuring her that she's not to blame, Casey reveals that she wanted Brody to like her more than Chase. She doesn't blame men for their actions, but she hates women instead, yet she doesn't know why. With this, she believes she's responsible for what happened between her and Brody. Hayden disagrees because he attacked her. At the camp, the men are crafting spears. Taylor is crafting a hat, and Chase is honing her blade. Cooper arrives and quips that everyone is preparing for war. Chase smiles at this and invites Cooper to search the cliff for signs of their whereabouts. Taken by her smile, he goes with her. However, the two discover no answers as they climb. Chase plans to check the mountain next, but Cooper cautions her that it's dangerous since it's getting dark. When he tries to stop her, she gets upset. Cooper apologizes but still suggests returning to the mountain the next day. Realizing he's right, the woman concedes. On their way back, they come across an old building where they believe the group can survive. At the camp, everyone eats fish that Moses and Brody caught using their spears. Donovan finally awakens and asks what happened to him. Blair reminds him that he pushed her in front of a shark, but she has forgiven him and urges him to rest. Mason is curious if Donovan will recover, and Blair is optimistic since his fever is gone. However, they also wonder how she knows a lot about medicine. Moments later, Cooper and Chase arrive with more fish, but they see that the group has eaten. To show off her spear, Chase insults Brody that hers is bigger, a reference to his manhood. She even notes that she invited Cooper to assess if he will harm her like Brody did, assuring the rest that the man is safe. Cooper adds that they checked the cliff and found an old hotel with beds and water. The group is excited, but Brody says they can make beds in camp. The man then wonders why Chase wants them to move there instead of the grove they found first. She argues that it was where he attacked her, so the place is spoiled. Triggered, Brody grabs her spear and denies that he touched anyone. To challenge this, Chase asks Casey to reveal something, but the latter remains quiet. Cooper wants Brody to drop the spear, but he refuses, blaming Chase for causing the drama. He then promises that he'll be coming for her, then drops the spear and walks off. Cooper tells Brody to cool off and that anyone who needs to should join him. The rest look at Chase, and Blair asks her to leave and cool off. The others agree since she keeps fighting with Brody, thus jeopardizing the group. Bothered, Cooper takes the spear to stop them from arguing. Still, Chase leaves the camp. In the tent, she dreams again of shooting the woman. She wakes up the following day as the others drag her out and into the shore. There, she sees Brody's lifeless body. Panicked, Chase insists that she didn't kill him, but they think she's lying. She punches Moses and Cooper in defense, but Casey strikes her with a spear. After being kicked, she passes out. To her surprise, Chase wakes in a medical room, strapped to a bed, despite being on the deserted island seemingly moments ago.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.